Hello, good afternoon and welcome back to Heat 3 of the AI Only World Cup. As with all the other times, we're playing on Deity, 6-armed Snowflake, and we've got our drop case of Alexander. I'm really sorry, but he is getting a bye through to the semi-finals, so you know, whatever. This time round though, Japan, Persia, Australia, Khmer and Mapuche. I really hope I'm saying that right, but I'm probably not. Actually, the Mapuche were my secret dark horse winner pick for the whole thing when I was sort of thinking about who was going to do well in this AI only battle. I really think that their swift hawk ability, that, you know, the city loses 20 loyalty if you kill a unit within borders of the... I think the AI spamming that, like, and the way the AI fights, you know, they don't do very well. People will tend to just chuck loads of troops at a city. They'll all die. There's no strategy. It's just sort of almost like a bloodbath, two sides hitting each other as hard as they can. I actually think that policy will work really well at turning cities. So we'll see if I'm right. They could be a complete underwhelming mess. Who knows? But anyway, let's start. And we immediately dive in. Here we go. Here's our drop case, Alexander, in the bottom right-hand corner. It looks like we've got the Khmer on the right. We've got Australia top right, Persia top left, and then the Mapuche on the far left, Japan bottom left. Okay, so we've got the orientation. Again, hilariously, every single one of those civs just appears to be settling in exactly the same spot as we always see. 2 down and 1 to the right. I don't know why the AI likes to do that, but it looks like... Hang on, even Pella's done it. Yeah, even Japan. They've all settled in exactly the same place. Actually, interestingly, Japan and the Mapuche are putting their second settler a little further out than the others, whereas Persia and Australia have gone for very quick settle. They're down immediately. Actually, look at that. Yes, so Persia are actually within 4 tiles of the capital. Australia 4 tiles of the capital as well, as is the Khmer. I expected the Khmer to spread out a little bit because they tend to do that sort of thing. Japan only 4 tiles. Actually, no, I say that. But what am I saying? They are all in exactly the same place. So, all about the same sort of time. It looks like Persia and Australia are the first ones to get their next settler out. Let's just have a look. Japan have got a settler coming down, as do the Mapuche. Okay, so Persia are down. Yeah, Persia are the first. Oh, actually on the same turn as the Mapuche. So Persia and Mapuche down. Yeah, it looks like they've got the immediate growth start. Now, traditionally, the civs that do well try and get about 5 and 6 different cities all on their sort of base continent, but we'll see if that works well. Persia are very good at forward settling. I'm kind of expecting a Persian forward settle. Australia might do well on this map. There's actually quite a lack of fresh water, so the ability to sort of settle, I mean, again, they're not taking advantage of it settling near that lake there, but the advantage of being able to settle on the coast might work quite well for Australia. Japan quite ably taking out its barbarians there. Raised a fairly decent army. I mean, look at that. That's 7, 8 different combat troops already. Mapuche, almost sort of not quite that far, but they are spreading onto that central island quite aggressively. It's interesting to see. Normally the civ that settles on this middle island first tends to do very well in the game, yet I can't see any 4th settlers. So it looks like, oh actually no, I say that, here we go. So here's Persia's 4th settler coming down here. I don't see anything. Australia haven't got one other one, the Khmer haven't got another one, Japan, no, again not getting another one, but Japan have dealt with their barbarians very ably actually. Here comes Mapuche as well. Genuinely, I still think Mapuche are going to do very well, but being settled next to Persia and Japan, who are very sort of aggressive civs, it could, that could be a bad start for them. It looks like, yes, the Khmer and Japan have the easy ride of having Alexander. Again, the team that takes down Alexander tends to do quite well, but we haven't seen that being a consistent case. Taking down Alexander doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. Oh, Australia have snuck Sydney in there, so a 4th city for Australia pretty quickly. Oh, I completely missed that one. The Khmer as well have got their settler coming down. It looks like Persia, instead of settling up here, are choosing to push down a little bit. Now that actually might work quite well for Persia. Generally speaking, if you can get that 4th city, again, the first team onto the central island tends to do very well indeed. Susa 5 population. Wow, Persia are really doing well on the old growth. And there we go, Mapuche's 4th settler didn't push on as far as we probably would have wanted. Actually, that's a terrible city placement as well, just with all of that tundra. I'm not a fan of that city placement, I must say. Japan's 4th city, again, coming down on the other side. So instead of in the tundra, they've gone for the desert. That is a crazy second settle from Alexander, our favourite settler friend. Wow, you know what? Alexander's doing quite well. There isn't the usual barbarian madness going on. Maybe we'll see a rogue Alexander win. It's unlikely, but you never know. Japan immediately getting a couple of early game wonders down. I think that is, yep, the Panda, which is a pretty good one. Let's see if any of the other wonders have gone to anywhere else. Mapuche don't appear to have built any, but they do have a 5th settler. Again, I like that as a start. Oh, look, you can see the Mapuche have got a great person as well, so they've got a religion coming. I like a 0 wonder multiple settler start. I think, generally speaking, it works quite well. Pyramids under construction there. It looks like, yep, they're done. Persia have finished that as we've been watching it, but no other wonders. Australia tend to get quite a few wonders at the start of the game, but no, generally speaking, they haven't. Can't see any, which means the Khmer must have a few. Yeah, so here we go. So we've got Stonehenge at the very least, but again, is that one Hanging Gardens? Okay, so double for the Khmer. In fact, here they go. Their 4th city is again encroaching on this central island, but you can start to see now, here we come. So there's a Japanese settler down there. We've got a Mapuche settler on that prong over here. So there is a bit of a rush now going towards. I like the idea of Persia. You've got a couple of trading units coming now. If they can build a road into the center of the map, then that generally speaks quite well for them. But I think, generally speaking, the battle for the centre is going to be really interesting. Getting that 3rd settler down is big news because it really helps with the loyalty going forward. Oh, Japan has declared war on the Khmer, and so has Alexander. Oh, Alexander, why are you doing that? Japan are nowhere near. Oh, actually, I say that. Japan, it looks like they are taking down Leventa. I mean, that's an ambitious move. Are we going to see... Again, yeah, they've just sent 1 troop down, so they're not going to do very well. But are we going to see Japan take out a couple of city-states? We really haven't seen that much. Oh, there is the 5th settler for the Mapuche, and they haven't pushed that far in. I would have liked to have seen a more aggressive settle from them there. You've got the Japanese settler, does look like he's coming in a little bit inland. There's a Persian settler. Persia really do push in. Actually, Mapuche are going to benefit from the Kilimanjaro natural wonder, which is like loads of food on these tiles. I mean, that is a fantastic tile there. 3 food, 2 production, 3 gold. Australia, here they come. Oh yeah, look, Australia have pushed down. If that is a good settle, if they can settle and hold that area, they will do very well. Oh, there's Persia's settle. So Persia are going to come around and take the other tiles. And here's Australia. Okay, Japan are going to get the other spot, so the Mapuche might have actually missed out a little bit there. They do have a couple of those wonder tiles available to them. Yep, there's Tokyo, but they might find themselves pushed out here. It looks like the Mapuche might have to go to war with somebody to get themselves a bit of a foothold on that central island. And already, Australia with the tech lead, we do see Australia get a lot of good campuses very early on, but that swordsman there, you can see the 40 strength city there is the giveaway. An early pikeman for the Khmer. That's an unusual one. We tend to see people go for, well, the computers go for swordsmen before they go for pikemen, but there we go. Khmer has made peace with Japan. Anything flipped? There shouldn't have been any flips at this early stage of the game, but you never know. The computers do make some ridiculously bad trades. So actually, just looking at the loyalty of these cities here, so the Australian, Persian and Mapuche cities are all good, but Tokyo is going to have a rebellion in 4 turns. That's a worryingly poor start for Japan. They've got to immediately put a settler in, put a governor in, settle in the immediate area, otherwise they're going to lose that city before they've even started. And yeah, look, already it's ticking down. 3 turns, 2 turns. That was too far a settle from Japan. They had nothing to back it up. If you're going to settle up that quickly, you need to get some real population. And look, already Persia stealing Mount Kilimanjaro tile and Japan stealing that, so the Mapuche being pushed out of this central area. Tokyo flipped. So, who is going to win it? Japan have a decent fighting force in the area, but the rebellion in 10 turns, I think actually in terms of population, it's going to be whichever is the nearest city. And I think that is probably Persia have got more immediately close cities, but actually the Mapuche might. They've got more population in the adjacent thing. It's 10 tiles away, isn't it, that their loyalty gets pushed down. Oh, that's interesting. Australia are losing loyalty as well. So Australia, again, have a problem with loyalty. Maybe you're in a dark age. If Australia get a settler in this middle bit, which they can because they've got lots of housing on coastal tiles, they might be able to keep that. But otherwise, they might lose it to someone like the Khmer. Japan's settler. That would have been their 6th, but it's too late. Tokyo already look like they're starting to fall. But actually, can Japan do well? No, they're going to charge spearmen into the walls of Tokyo whilst a catapult just swims out at sea. Honestly, you do wonder sometimes. Speaking of wonders, wow, the Mapuche are really building. Great lighthouse coming along. They've got Mahabodhi Temple going. They've got the Jebel Barkal being built as well. That's really pushing on. And the Great Library. Oh wow, so we've got the Great Empire here. And the population is crazy. 11, 10 and 8 I think is a pretty strong start. Yeah, Japan are nowhere near that. Let's have a look at the Khmer, who are normally good on population. No, not even the Khmer. 10 and 11. Australia have the 12 though. Okay, so Australia, oh my god, Persia with 213 cities. Yeah, fair enough. So actually Persia are already just popped up to 14. Persia with the population, man. Tokyo 4 turns until it flips as well. I'm really interested to see if the Mapuche can build. Yep, they built the Jebel Barkal, which means they've got iron now. Means they'll be able to build up a load of swordsmen and potentially go to war with Persia. Now Persia have immortals, but I have a feeling immortals are not very good against swordsmen. So we'll see if that one works out for them. This is the interesting one. So 2-turn flip for Tokyo. I have a feeling that might go to the Mapuche. This is going to be an important flip whichever way it goes. I don't think it'll go Persia, but you never know. You never know. We'll have a look. We'll watch and see it slip. There's another Japanese city going down, and again, you're not going to be able to back that up, Japan. That's too far away. I think Japan settling is going to really be an issue for it here. But anyway, let's see which way Tokyo goes. Whoever wins this is going to have a real bonus. And it's the Mapuche who've got it. Rebellion in 14 turns. They might be able to fix up the governor, you know. But that's interesting, especially because now Mapuche have immediately got musketmen. That could be a really important flip. If they choose to go to war with a couple of these sort of central cities that don't have as huge loyalty costs, then Mapuche might flip a couple of these, you know. Checking back in with the Khmer, they don't appear to be pushing out very much. They've got 5 fairly consolidated cities on their island. They do have Petra being constructed, which is quite a good one. They've got a decent army, a couple of settlers, but again, I haven't seen those settlers moving very far. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to those settlers. Australia have actually spread out quite nicely. We can see at least one encampment being built. Generally speaking, the computer is pretty bad at building encampments on this map, so it looks like Australia might be going for a bit of an aggressive start. I'd like to see an aggressive Australia. They can do pretty well when they put their minds to it. Persia building the Kotukin, I think is roughly how a British person would pronounce it. Temple of Artemis going down as well. And is that the chicken pizza? It is, yeah. So, okay, Persia, again, wonder game. Very strong. Very strong. Another settler coming down. It looks like there's probably not enough space for another settle. The way that the settling's happened, it looks like you have to either go down Alexander's area, which it looks like the Khmer might be coming down this way, or no, it doesn't look like there's anywhere really else to settle. So whichever civ becomes the most aggressive might do well here. And already Australia with frigates. I can see at least 3 frigates coming down. Japan and the Khmer declaring war on Persia. Now that's an interesting one. Neither city is near Persia, so Persia are pretty happy actually. The Khmer have made peace with Macedon and nothing has flipped there. Okay, so interesting wars, but nothing's going to happen with those, I don't think. I think Persia are just too far away for anything to happen there. Oh, Australia and Macedon have all declared war on Persia, so Persia are the big enemy right now. And that's an interesting one. Australia have a fairly decent land army, a couple of swordsmen, enough to keep their city safe, but these frigates are dangerous. If those frigates go for any of the city-states that are allied to Persia, or if Persia start embarking their units, they might regret that pretty quickly. I love how much the game slows down when a war gets declared. It goes, ooh, no, we've got to think about this now. Looks like Japan are also sending a settler down to this Alexandra bit here, but the Khmer are going to get there first, so they've kind of left that a bit late, Japan. They have, though, stabilised the loyalty of this city down here. So Japan, it doesn't look like they're going to lose that one. And actually, Mapuche have got loyalty issues going on at the moment as well, so it'll be interesting to see. My god, Persia's army, look at that. That's impressive, and it looks like they've got warrior monks as well, which I thought the Khmer had. They do. Okay, fair enough. It looks like maybe religion has spread more than we realise. Australia really bombarding the Persian army with these frigates. I mean, look, you can see, actually, Persia have got a ton of caravels, so Australia might have to be a little bit careful here. But Jerusalem looks like it's on Australia's side. That's interesting. Again, are we going to see the falling of city-states? Because we really haven't seen much of that in the AI battles so far. Teams really don't want to attack city-states, which I've always found quite surprising, really. Yeah, Persia's army, Persia's navy, I should say, is really swamping Australia's. And they've got ironclads, but they're not sending them against the caravels. That's, again, one of those steps where you look at it and you think, what's going on here? What's the Mapuche again? Come on, guys, you've got the charm here. You guys could be really pushing with these musketmen, but you're choosing not to. It's a shame that. Japan and Persia making peace, nothing too exciting about that one. Again, they were too far away to really have an issue with that, but it looks like Persia's now starting to siege Australia's cities here. That would be an amazing take for them, because it would leave Rockhampton down here incredibly exposed, but Perth protected by at least one frigate, and there's encampments on the coast as well. Persia have got to bring more than a couple of caravels, otherwise they're not going to do very well here. Oh, Japan City again about to flip. That's going to be a bad loss for them if that goes. Because again, Japan limited again. We've seen that a couple of times where people will just sort of settle out too much. Oh, big Australia and Persia making peace, and Persia didn't take the city while it didn't have walls up. That Persia, are you going to regret that? That feels like the sort of move you could regret. But people like Jerusalem now, Jerusalem is ready for the taking. A couple of pieces of siege equipment, some frigates to take down the walls. These city-states could be yours. I mean, because these are Australia's allies, and as long as they've got these buffer city-states, there's going to be a problem for Persia. Yeah, there we go. 3 city has formed, and oh my goodness, Japan are beginning to lose cities, or I mean, that city won't rebel because it's just too far, but they are starting to lose loyalty on their own continent. That's bad from Japan. Finally starting to see some population appear in these Mapuche cities. I'm always amazed. Only 6 and 4. These should be huge. I mean, look at all these unworked tiles around Mount Kilimanjaro. It winds me up massively. Why would you build the Hagia Sophia next to it as well? These are such good tiles. And the holy site. Oh, the computer. It just doesn't understand adjacency from natural wonders. I swear it's missing out there. Alexander generally left alone as well. I was very much expecting them to be swamped, and it still might happen. To be fair, it still might happen. Japan have got a load of swordsmen, still technologically advanced compared to Alexander. The Khmer as well. He could send a couple of these quadriremes and start taking a couple of coastal cities there, but again, there's nothing too much that they could be bombarded from the sea. Alexander is settled very much inland there. Looks like Persia are bringing a huge land army down south. I'd probably to try and take this 3 city, but they're not going to get there in time, I don't think. They have brought catapult, which is always a nice surprise from Persia. Like I love it when you can see the computer actually bring siege weapons. I wish in the AI, the one thing I would change is to get them to actually bring battering rams. Because they never do. Do you know what I mean? Like, the computer will never bring battering rams, and they will just hit melee unit upon melee unit against sets of walls and just not do anything. And again, look, the catapult here, moving instead of firing. Why would you do that? So Mapuche have got at least 2 of these fantastic campus adjacencies with the central mountains, but again, this one not worked, so not every tile being worked here. 2 holy sites and 1 campus. For Persia. Let's see what Australia have got. Australia have gone for the 2 campus, 1 holy site. So again, I like to see at least 2 campuses going down. 2 holy sites, 1 campus. What's Japan done? Japan are normally quite interesting. And again, 1 holy site, 2 campuses. So everyone goes for a holy site. The computer really loves going for a holy site, but I don't know whether it's worked. Oh, and look here, Persia. Again, just moving their catapult all the way through. They're going to regret that. If they come up against a war against the Mapuche, they're going to really start regretting that. I'm interested to see which way the city flips as well, because the biggest population nearby is Mapuche. But that would be amazing if that flips. It might flip back to Japan, because they do have Sendai here. But there's a lot of cities nearby that are all going to be competing here, and I think this might flip Mapuche, you know. You know, I think Japan might be starved of musketmen here. They might be starved of gunpowder. Thinking about it, I don't actually see much going on in this area, but the gunpowder is sort of central, isn't it? I can't remember where it goes. Is that the one? The desert hills there? Might be. I never remember, but it's just the amount of swordsmen Japan still have, and catapults as well. You'd expect United to upgrade those to bombards by now. Mapuche doing its job though. Frigates are all up and running, musketmen are all up and running. I saw a bombard somewhere, but I can't see where it is now. But Mapuche not going incredibly aggressive, which is a strange one. That Australia with the good old settler just sitting in the capital. Oh, Japan have declared war on the Mapuche. That is an interesting one. Is this going to force our friends in blue into an aggressive war? Oh, as the city here falls to Japan, that's an interesting one. That will fall back to Japan, but that means this city is almost definitely going to go to Mapuche. This is really interesting. How are they going to respond here? If they keep killing Japanese cities in the area, they might start doing really well here for Mapuche. Just checking in on the camera, not much is happening, but my god, have you seen the navies just out at sea here? Japan have got all of these quad marines just randomly in the sea. Australia have got tons of boats. Persia have got tons of boats, all just like in the ocean, just randomly. Like, what are you doing with all those? Or Japan embarking all their units. Looks like they're going to go for Mapuche, but with frigate fleets, they're going to have to really get themselves a navy together, otherwise this is not going to go well for them at all. And Persia circling the city, I think that's going to be too late for you. I think that's going to flip Mapuche next turn. Interestingly, if Mapuche kills the 3-city musketmen in its territory, it can use that to flip the city faster. And here we go, as expected, Mapuche getting this city, and Rebellion in 146 turns. They're going to hold on to that. They'll quickly put a governor in that one and sort themselves out. The deity AI normally does. But that really starts to push Japan out of this one. That's interesting. Look at all these troops as well. They're going to have to really be careful because it looks like the Japanese Navy is stuck the other side. There's frigate fleets keeping the waters safe around here. I think Japan are in trouble here. And look, damaged Japanese naval units in the middle. It looks like at least a couple of these city-states are on the side of Mapuche here. So they've got it all against. Oh yeah, look at that, just bang. Another one goes. If these embarked units are in the cities, in their own territory, they're going to have to be really careful, Japan. I've just seen a 20 population capital over here. Let's just check in and see. Now, Persia have lost their population advantage, 2 17s. Australia with an 18 up there. The Khmer only with 13. What are you guys doing? A poor game from the Khmer, I must say. They're just not exciting. And Alexander still here. Still here and well, and with better strength walls, so they're not going to be a pushover anymore. I mean, they'll easily lose. Japan, 14 population. Again, it's just, they're not doing very well. I have a feeling Mapuche are starting to run away with this a little bit. The battle between Persia and Mapuche are going to be an important one here. And Australia. Australia have got a decent amount of land army. If they come at somebody, or somebody declares war on Australia, that's when Australia start to obviously get their huge production bonuses. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Yep, Japan sending all their naval units one by one just into Mapuche lands. It's just not going to work very well for you. The cities will bombard. They've got frigates in the cities bombarding as well. I mean, just why? Why are you doing that? You see that, like these units, I can already tell these units are going to get killed. That frigate's just going to go bang, take out that caravel, I would expect. Although, you know, I've seen the computer do weird things before that. No, it just sails round. It just sails around. Alright, well, I did say it might be a bit weird. A bit weird it is. I really want to see Japan take a couple of these city-states. I mean, look at the boats Japan have got. This navy is absolutely incredible. You know what, Japan actually, if they can use this navy in an effective way, they might be able to do themselves some damage, but they don't have any... Look, they don't have any gunpowder. There's no frigates anywhere. With these 67 strength walls, these caravels are just going to bounce off them. They need some sort of gunpowder or siege weapon, otherwise they're just not going to get anywhere here. Nagoya, whichever way this flips is going to be a really interesting one. Sendai, Japan have a lot of population nearby, so I'm expecting them to go that. No, it went to Mapuche. That's interesting. On turn 100, that is an important flip for Mapuche. That means they can start bringing in troops here, start trading here. Japan will probably end up attacking this, but wow. This is going really well for Mapuche at the moment. It looks like the Japanese Navy have at least been repelled for now. And at least some of these city-states are on the side of Mapuche. It looks like Babylon and Lisbon at least are on the side of Mapuche because all their troops have been killed. Muscat, maybe not.